Do I love the main character of this book? Can I keep reading this book or will I eventually hate it? Hello, my name is Brennan. Welcome back to my channel, Read Good, Draw Bad, where I love to read amazing books and I also draw really bad. Today, flamingos are in order because we are on book number 99, The Ginger Man by JP Donleavy, and it is in the list of the Modern Library's top 100 novels of the 20th century. And if you're new here, I'm doing the top 100 novels of the 20th century put together by the Modern Library. And this list, we're gonna go all the way to number 1. We're only on number 99, but I've finished a few more of the books on this list. And then in between, I'm also reading some fun books. Please go visit my TikTok channel where I often just put up small thoughts here and there about what's up and what I'm thinking about, you know, more modern and more recent books. Okay, flamingo shirt activated. Sometimes when you read a book, you have to ask yourself, does it matter if I like the main character? And if you can answer that question, that will tell you whether you love or hate the book that we're talking about today. The Ginger Man by JP Donleavy is considered a classic by many. It's considered an amazing artistic use of prose and description of young man on a bender while he goes completely out of control. But to some people, it's considered to be a book in really poor taste and has been banned in numerous countries. In fact, his book was first published as porn literature, which JP Donleavy for some reason found a little bit offensive. So you're going to have to be okay with reading a nasty book about a nasty guy. JP Donleavy is considered a major Irish American writer, and he has many novels that you could look up that have quite a lot of praise put behind them for their poetic writing style, their sort of modern-esque take on the modern novel, and also deals with a lot of subjects of both poverty and aristocratic class and the working class, and his writing is often poetically compared to James Joyce. And if that already turns you off, you will probably hate this book. Indeed, JP Donleavy's reputation and the reputation I've built up about some of his other books in my mind made me question whether I misread this book when I read it the first time. Because I'm going to spoil it for you. I really hated this book. I think this is one of the least favorite books I've ever read by a major writer. I think the content of this book is about as appealing as barf in the gutter. And that's really juxtaposed with the fact that the poetic writing of the book was quite excellent, even though I personally couldn't stomach the content. I actually do think JP Donleavy is a talented writer. So what to do? Is this a good book, or am I just misreading it? And perhaps was I just not in the right mindset when I read it for the first time? And after many reviews and many attempts to see this book in different lights, I gotta say I still really hate it. I just really hate this book. And it makes me mad that it even exists and people call it a classic. It makes me mad. And for the record, I reread several passages of this book, compared it several times to other great books that I really enjoy, and at the end of all of this thinking, I just thought, no, I still hate this book. But before we talk about how much I don't like this book, first, a too long didn't read summary. And if you're like me and wish you had never read this book, this will be helpful for you. The main character of this book is Sebastian Dangerfield, who is living abroad, coming from America to Ireland after World War II. And he's living there as an expat, going to Trinity College to finish up and get his law degree. And basically the story starts out, he dreams of getting his law degree so he'll have lots of money, and then him and his wife can live really well, and then everything will go splendid from there. It seems to me that Sebastian's goal in life is to go through as much booze and women as humanly possible before he dies and get rid of all his problems by running away from them. So let's go on to who are the main characters of this book. Kenneth O'Keefe, who's his best friend and is described as smelly by multiple people. The main women in his life are Marion, his wife, and his baby, Felicity; Christine, the laundry girl, the first of many mistresses; Miss Frost, the lodger in one of the many places where Sebastian Dangerfield rents. Then we have Mary, the woman who is head over heels for Dangerfield for some bizarre reason and eventually becomes an actress and starts making a lot of money. The plot of this book is that Sebastian Dangerfield has come to study law at Trinity College shortly after World War II. And him and his wife have come there. They've just recently been married. They're living like poor students and they have a baby to take care of. And from this, you think, okay, this sounds like it might be sort of a Dickens style plot. You know, maybe we'll learn something about the main characters and the hardships they go through. But all that ends up happening is Sebastian goes from one alcoholic bender to the next alcoholic bender and never stops. So the whole entire book is basically just hangover to being drunk, hangover to being drunk. And that is legitimately the plot of the entire book, all the way from Ireland to London, England, where the book eventually ends. If you could say that there's a plot, and I'm not sure you could say that this book has a plot. Sebastian tries to take advantage of every man, woman, and child that he meets, take as much money and affection from them as possible, and then move on to the next person once he's completely destroyed that relationship. Now, to present the themes, I'm going to give you a retelling of The Gingerbread Man, the children's story, because actually I think that these two stories have a lot in common, thematically speaking. One morning, an old lady made a gingerbread in the shape of a man and gave him icing for hair and a cute little button nose. While the old woman daydreamed of the delicious gingerbread man that she was going to eat, the oven door popped open and out of the oven came the gingerbread man saying, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." The old lady was too slow and the gingerbread man ran all the way down the road until he ran into two construction workers on the side of the road. And when he saw them, he said, "Try and catch me if you can, but you can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." And they ran after him, as tried as they might, they could not catch this gingerbread man. And the gingerbread man insulted and laughed at how slow they were, and he laughed and outran a little boy, a bear, and a wolf, taunting each of them, and he yelled, "You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man." But eventually, the gingerbread man ran into a fox who was much smarter than him. And the fox ate him while pretending to help the gingerbread man across the river, because of course, gingerbread men can't swim. Sebastian Dangerfield and the gingerbread man have a lot in common. That's because they taunt and insult people and then run away when the problems get too big. But unfortunately, when they run into someone much smarter than them, it ends in their eventual downfall and demise. As fast as the gingerbread man might be, or as smart and charming as Sebastian Dangerfield thinks he might be, there's always someone who's going to be able to have a one-up on him, and this happens to him several times throughout the novel. If you want to think about the theme of when bad people do bad things, what is the result? I would say that is the main theme of this book. This is kind of a, when you get really drunk and just keep being drunk for a very long time, what happens? The novel. Kind of like the movie The Hangover, and you really spiced up all the violence against women. That's basically this book in a nutshell. Anyway, that's it for the summary. Let's get on to the actual review. So as I've said, I don't think most people today that I know would enjoy reading this book. However, I felt extremely gaslit by all the praise of the numerous news articles, Goodread reviews, research articles about JP Donleavy and the book, The Ginger Man. If you wanted to read this book, I assume it would be because you wanted to enter the mind of someone who's truly a bad person doing bad things. Unfortunately, because this is a modern novel, I don't think there's much perspective on that at all. I just kind of felt bad of following this drunk guy around for like 400 pages. Some of this, to me, felt too real to be fiction. And so then, after doing a little background work on JP Donleavy, I'm mostly convinced that this is actually about JP Donleavy. And I think The Ginger Man is about him as a young man. So let me give you some examples. Sebastian Dangerfield was an American come to Ireland. JP Donleavy was also an American come to Ireland. Sebastian Dangerfield studied at Trinity College. JP Donleavy also studied at Trinity College. Sebastian Dangerfield is considered a total black sheep of his family, and JP Donleavy was recorded as being somewhat of a black sheep of his family. Sebastian Dangerfield gets in numerous fistfights and drunken brawls as part of the book, and JP Donleavy is known to be someone who is a bit of a boxer, and according to sources, really enjoyed having his reputation as a vicious and violent man. I don't know, this just seems too similar to me to be a coincidence. I really do think that this is partially a composite, but also this is just a retelling of things that JP Donleavy did in his life. And I think this is the reason that I and others like me don't really enjoy this novel, because we don't see this book as a work of fiction that we can enter into the mind of someone dastardly, but instead we see this as a potential biography of someone who did a lot of bad things and just wants to write a book about it. And this is what I've learned from reading this book. I can enjoy lots of kinds of books, but there's one kind of book I don't like, and that's books that deal with traumatic events and traumatic violence. And to me, this is a book about a man going through several traumatic experiences while dealing with his alcoholism, and he might be in some state of actual psychosis. And you might enjoy such books, but here let me just lay out some of the things that not only made me cringe, but really raised my eyebrows in terms of why I would want to read as a work of fiction about these particular events. A violent fight, which ends with him trying to smother his baby with a pillow. Leaving his wife with no food for several days so that she'll be more pliable and be more servile when he returns after a drunken binge. Threatening to hit his mistress with a shoe because she was talking too much. And in every single woman that he met, he dreamed of that woman in a servant role where she's in the kitchen and taking care of each and every of his personal desires and needs. And him doing nothing but sitting there reading the paper. I can read happy books, sad books, books of any genre, but the one kind of book I can't read or don't want to read is book about traumatic violence and traumatic experiences, especially rolled up in a wrapper that says this is fictional and not real. Because violence against women does happen, and it's very real, and there are very real statistics. And I don't think we need a book lauded as a piece of great history that just shows how bad violence against women can be. And this is part of where we can talk about JP Donleavy's writing style as being very modern, because again, we enter the inner psychology of Sebastian many times, and it flows from first person to third person, in and out, and we feel like we're in his mind and then we're out of his mind, and I definitely feel like he's out of his mind most of the book. At the end of the day, I think not of the ginger man, but again of the gingerbread man, because the gingerbread man had a similar effect on people where they just wanted to be near him, or perhaps eat him. Maybe that's where the analogy stops, because the gingerbread man went around running away from people, abusing them whenever they got close to him, and generally just trying to tell people how much better he was than other people. However, we know the gingerbread man, in the end, is not smarter than everybody, and eventually karma will catch up with you if you are the gingerbread man. And like the gingerbread man, I don't think Sebastian Dangerfield is going to stop running from people or abusing them until time runs out. I don't recommend you read this book, but if you are, just be prepared for a lot of dark things, a lot of traumatic language, but also a lot of poetic language, because I do think JP Donleavy is a good writer, but I just don't think that this book is a book you need to read in 2023. I think there's way better books out there. But I did say, as part of this challenge, I'll try and recommend a different book that I think is of similar value and similar themes. In this particular case, I would recommend, if you really want to read a similar book, you could read Angela's Ashes. And this book is controversial in its own right for its portrayal of Limerick and the poverty that was there at the time, but I think overall this is just a way better written book, and I think you would do well to read this book over The Ginger Man. Okay, phew, that's enough about Sebastian Dangerfield. Even writing this review was a little difficult because I was mad the entire time. However, you should be excited for the next book on this list, which, to give you a preview, is called The Postman Always Rings Twice by James M. McCain. So I hope you look forward to that review. That's all for me this week. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like this video or would like to see more videos like this. I hope you find a great book this week to read that really is something that you love. And with that, I will say, stay curious, stay reading. See you next time.